Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Game Night here at Heavy Cardboard. I'm your host, Edward.
Greg.
Joe.
Martin.
All right, for those of y'all that are fairly-ish new, it's been a while since Joe's been on the show. So Joe Huber, designer of a number of games, throw some out there.
Caravan, Blue Skies, Starship Merchants.
There you go. Which, Starship Merchants, coincidentally, second ever hobby board game I ever played.
Wow.
Yeah, so who knew? And here we are. So Joe, however, is kind of famous for not just being a designer, but also part of the crew here in the greater Boston area. Eric Brocious, Joe R. and stuff that tend to play games on the quicker side. You guys were able to play 1846 in 46 minutes?
Once, yes.
Yeah.
It took us almost 48 minutes the other time.
So there's that. But also, Joe is slowly, he will say.
Yes.
Joe is writing a book on Sid Saxon. So tonight's game, acquire the classic 61-year-old game, 61-year-old game, designed by Sid Saxon, published by 3M. Yes, that 3M. We actually just had this conversation. Like, I was like, 3M, they're still, and I didn't put two and two together that 3M, like the people that make adhesives and all this stuff, they used to make board games, but they don't anymore.
Not since the mid-'70s when they sold off the line to Avalon Hill.
Okay, so he's writing a book on Sid Saxon, so we're not going to play Acquire without Joe here. So, Joe, who is Sid and why should people care?
So,
Or who was Sid, I should say.
Who was Sid?
Yeah.
Sid passed away in 2002.
Yep.
Sid Saxon was one of the first notable board game designers of the, what I'll call the German games era. Sid actually had his first rule set published in the 40s, but his first full game published by a publisher was High Spirits with Calvin and the Colonel, published in 1962, based on that well-known famous cartoon of that era, where by well-known famous I mean not remembered at all, but a cartoon that also was based on Amos and Andy, which is probably better well-known and remembered, if not necessarily always for good reasons. But that was his kind of his break of getting a game out there, getting it published. Sold reasonably well, but the cartoon flopped, and so it was off the market soon. But he was always working on more designs. And one of the designs he was working on was a game that he called Vacation, which was about hotel chains growing, merging, buying stock in chains, and so on. And so through his agent, Sid, as did a number of board game designers in that era, had an agent in New York who actually interacted directly with the companies.
Right.
But Sid did a fair bit of direct interaction himself as well. Submitted the game to 3M. And, well, actually earlier he submitted it to Hasbro, who decided it wasn't, Parker Brothers, who decided it wasn't for them.
Fair.
I think he also submitted it to Milton Bradley, but I'm not 100% certain of that. But he submitted it to 3M, and they expressed interest, and they eventually published the game. It actually starred a more than decade-long period of working together,
partnership,
with 3M, where he had other games such as Monad, Executive Decision, Bazaar, Sleuth, all published by 3M. And he also actually did work for them, consulting on other games that they were looking at. And so Acquire is really so it's not everyone's favorite of Sid's games. Many people prefer Can't Stop. But this is the game that has had, I mean, it's been around 61 years. It was just republished most recently last year.
Yep.
And it has sold, they're not, Monopoly numbers or Catan numbers, but it has sold millions of copies over time. I have no doubt of that.
Now, I've heard it said that there are people out there that feel that Acquire is the game that Monopoly, like it should be the Monopoly of the American history. Like Monopoly is the quintessential American board game. As like when people outside the hobby are like, oh, what kind of game? Like everybody plays Monopoly. Acquire should be the game that we've all grew up on and not Monopoly, is how I've heard it described. Mm-hmm. That fair?
It's both fair and not. Because, so, it's fair that this is a game that certainly anyone in the hobby should grow up on. I first played it in '79, and it was what convinced me that games were not just for kids. But basically civilization changed a bit between the 30s and the 60s, and whereas in the 1930s everyone played bridge, everyone played Monopoly, it was a cultural phenomenon across the whole of the culture. By the time you got to the 60s, it was a subset. And I mean, it was equally true of bridge. Games that once upon a time you could count on everyone that you went to visit knowing the game, that was no longer the case.
Okay.
And so Acquire, I mean, really has been as popular as it could be in the time frame. And I mentioned Catan earlier as another game that has been essentially as popular as it could be for its time frame. And that's still very popular, if not monopoly popular or monopoly ubiquitous.
Okay.
But it certainly is a game that's done very, very well.
So why write a book on Sid Saxon? By the way, we are going to get to the game, but the whole point of tonight's stream is less about actually playing Acquire and more having Joe on to be able to wax philosophically about this. Because Acquire is kind of really the first real hobby board game, I feel like, that mainstream-wise.
Yeah, certainly the early war games from Avalon Hill.
Sure.
But it was 3M, the niche that 3M was looking to fill was board games for adults. Not hobby games, not things that had been around for 30 years, but new games for adults. And so Acquire was one of the games. I mean, there were the first games besides Acquire were High Bid, the designer of whom also worked with the same agent as Sid Saxon. Larry Winters was the designer's name. Owari, which was a variant on Mancala that Alex Randolph was responsible for, and Flounder, which is a word game. Flounder did not do as well. The other three games did very, very well for 3M. But one of the interesting things, so we've talked about Saxon and his role, but one of the people who was very responsible for Acquire as we know it today was Bill Kerrison. Bill Kerrison was a employee of 3M. He worked there for 32 years, and he was effectively the developer of Acquire.
Okay.
So the Acquire that we're going to play today is not the Vacation or that Saxon submitted to 3M.
Okay.
So
so even back then, games went from designer, and then a developer got a hold of it and trimmed the tree, so to speak, and morphed it, or
not
is this
frequently?
Okay.
It's not something that happened very regularly.
Okay.
But that was what Kerrison was doing at 3M. I mean,
Okay.
there were others that he trained basically, but Kerrison was the one who worked on Acquire and the other early games before handing it off to other people at 3M who helped with some of the later designs. But Kerrison was interesting. So Saxon, after meeting him in April of '63, was really impressed to have an executive to work with who actually cared about the game. This was not normal. This was not what he had experienced working with other publishers trying to get his game sold, but a new experience for him. And the biggest role that Kerrison played. So the game tested well enough at 3M that they decided to do a test marketing edition in late 1963 in 8 cities. I'm not sure I can do all of them off the top of my head, but New Orleans, Shreveport, Des Moines, Minneapolis, Denver, all in the Midwest. Nothing.
I was going to say
whatsoever.
You were not hitting the cities I would have thought of here.
New Orleans was like, oh, okay, that's a Shreveport.
Shreveport, Des Moines. What? Okay, all right.
So they printed, I believe, 500 copies, distributed them to stores to get feedback on them.
Okay.
And
like, were they for sale?
Yes, they were for sale.
Okay, so they were hoping to get feedback from the customers.
From customers.
Okay,
and in fact, they got feedback from the customers.
Okay.
Actually, it's kind of amazing just how much So they passed some of the feedback along to Sid, and even later, even a decade after Acquire came out, there was still feedback coming in from people about the game.
Oh.
But the test marketing edition, so did have 7 hotel chains, had different numbers of shares in each chain. The first thing you did is you took 60 of the shares, shuffled them, and dealt them out to the players. Players then could buy 1 share per turn. That's it. Of whatever.
Okay.
There was no bonus for founding a chain. The game really So if you ever hear of World Map Acquire, that's this test marking edition.
Okay.
It shows up
All right.
now and again at somewhat ridiculous prices, but the board looks like it has a world map on the back, which is why it gets that name.
Okay. But so that's not Acquire as we know of Acquire.
It's not Acquire as we know of Acquire.
Okay. All right. Got it.
So, but that is what they first published. And Kerrison basically went back and forth with Sid, and in fact had to work Sid down on some of the issues to get to the Acquire as we know it. So Kerrison was for having the same number of shares of all stocks, did not want stocks distributed at the beginning of the game, though admittedly part of that was economics. If you are distributing shares at the beginning of the game, they have to be thick enough to shuffle, and he didn't want to have them that thick for the game.
Ah, okay. All right. So component quality, or the component, I guess quality.
The required quality in order to allow that was higher.
Okay.
Let's see. The big one was he actually advocated for not limiting the number of shares that players could buy in a turn. They went back and forth before they settled on 3. They went back and forth before settling on 1 free share for founding a chain. They tried 2 as well. And so what then came out in late 1964, so Saxon received his copy of this edition in October of 64, is almost completely what we're going to be playing tonight. There was one rule change that was not made until about 66, which is essentially how you pick the first player and what you do with those tiles.
Okay.
But that's really about the only thing that continued to evolve, other than they added 2-player rules later.
Okay.
And Kerrison continued to work with Saxon on other games, on Bazaar, which Saxon's title for it was Sit Down and Think. We think Bazaar is a better. But continued to work with Saxon through the 60s, had really turned things over to some of the folks who were working for him by the time they got to about 1970. But stayed with 3M, as I say, for 32 years before he retired to Arizona. And he actually outlived Sid by about 6 years. So, he was the first person I know of who had that kind of development role on a game.
Okay.
Which, and not all games go through that kind of development process today. Many don't. Many could use it. But a number of publishers...
More should, yeah, right.
A number of publishers still focus very heavily on that development process
Right.
to turn out games that are going to be the best that they can be. And that was really what Garrison was trying to do, even if he probably never would have listed his occupation as game developer. So,
Interesting. Yeah, that's okay. That's awesome. So talk a little bit, and then we'll get started about the museum in Rochester. Because they have. Yeah,
So-
you tell it.
Strong Museum of Play in Rochester is an
Rochester, New York, for those that don't know.
Yes.
And it's on the way to Niagara Falls, which is the Gathering of Friends, which you and I just came back from last week. So that context-wise, but go ahead.
And actually, the reason what got me interested in Saxon and Acquire in particular was a trip we made to the Strong Museum from the Gathering in 2014 that Dan Bloom organized. We were going through the tour, which was great. They have a really impressive collection of games, really impressive collection of old arcade machines. I mean, it's a wonderful museum and well worth your time. If you are near Rochester, I could not recommend it more highly.
And also, while you're there, Millennium Games, biggest board game store in the country, is also in Rochester. So there's that. And they're actually pretty great there. So highly recommended.
Absolutely. So we were going through, and then we got to the library. And they had brought out one of Sid's diaries from 1963 because they figured we would be interested. And Chris Kovac was looking at it and noticed a note in, I think it was September 9th, signed contract for Acquire, and then in parentheses, Vacation, in parentheses, Acquire. And at this time, the believed publication date for Acquire was 1962. If you look at the back of the box, it shows a copyright date of 1962. So everyone kind of believed that. And then there was the odd data that the World Map Edition has a 1962 on one side and a 1963 on the other side, even though the World Map Edition came first. And so got in and said, okay, I need to understand what happened here. This is weird. And so the tour continued, but I sat there with help from Dan and from Weiwa, and worked out exactly what the publication history of Acquire was by going through both Saxon's diary and his correspondence.
And they have all this at the museum.
They have all this at
Right,
the
yeah.
museum.
Yeah.
And in fact, at this point, all of his diaries are actually available online. The challenge and really the reason for the book is the data is spread out over diaries fairly regularly from the 60s through the 80s, and there is so much data that is not going to be of general interest. I mean, the classic one that you see in his early diaries is there's a game. So Saxon's only Spiel des Jahres was for a game released in Germany as Focus, released in the U.S. as Domination. But much earlier, he had sold it as Focus. And he would note how many copies of Focus he sold each day, which is kind of interesting. But what you don't get from his diaries is the complete paths that games followed
Fair.
along the way.
Right.
And so what I want to do is actually, so for a post that I made after this trip in 2014 that I made to opinionated gamers about the history of Acquire, I followed through essentially a rough draft of an acquired chapter. What I want to do is do that for all of Saxon's other games. So even the games that did not get published until late. So in 1996, his game Business was published in Germany, but it was a old game that finally got published. In much the same way, oh goodness, what's his word game? It was published by Face-to-Face Games, and I'm not going to come up with the name of it.
All right.
But he had a word game that was not published until after he passed. That Face-to-Face Games was the first one to really look to publish his games after he passed, things that hadn't been published. I wish I could remember the name of the game, but
Somebody will probably pop it up in chat.
certainly
You're fine.
expect.
Yeah.
But it was a favorite of his wife's,
Okay.
and so they published it by word. There we go.
All right. See, you even beat chat. There you go. Well done, you.
But
Trey got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
Face to Face was going through and publishing before they went out of business. Everything turned over to Eagle, who continues. I mean, they recently published a collection of some of Saxon's unpublished and some that had been published but never in English games. And in fact, one of the fun ones from my point of view is one of the games that he describes in his 1963 diary is a game that he called Bingo Variation Number 3 initially, before coming up with the better title of Scope. Scope was recently published in one of they have a red and blue collection from Eagle, and was recently published in one of those collections because of my interaction with the folks there, and I actually am listed as a developer on the game. So I have a developer credit for Sid Saxon.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Good
No,
stuff.
That was very nice.
All right. Awesome.
And it's a great game too. So
All right. So yeah, this is kind of what tonight's about. All right. So just to FYI. Now we have. I'm going to be very careful on. Okay, I'm just going to say it and let you correct me. We have an original version of Acquire, which really isn't the original version of Acquire, but it's the
real original version of Acquire. The other one was just test marketing.
right. So this is from 1964. All right. So here it is. Apologies about the glare on the overhead light on this, but the plastic it is. If y'all care, and I'm sure everybody's seen the copies of this, in the thrift stores and everything, but that's the advertisement that came with it from 3M for 1964. Jotty is not listed.
No, Johnny was never listed because it was never anything more than a test marketing edition.
Oh, that's why it's rare. Well,
Yes.
rare in air quotes. We had the conversation before we went live of what were the real rare ones.
Right.
Yeah, what were they? Or some of
Thinking
them.
Man's Basketball is probably the best known rarity of them. There have been something on the order of 2 copies found.
2.
Many more than 2 copies of Jotty have.
Yes.
In fact,
I want to say it
believe
was
there's
like 400 or something like that of Jotty.
So my best guess
Yeah.
is that there were, at one point in time, 1,000 copies of Jotty.
Okay.
500 in the 1965 test marking edition, 500 from the 1966 test marking edition.
Were they the same
No,
game? Okay.
no.
Okay.
One had a 9x10 board, one had a 10x10 board.
Huh. Is there one that's more desirable than the other?
No, people don't generally differentiate.
Okay.
between them.
All right. Fair enough.
As a practical matter, the better one to play is the 10x10 edition.
Okay.
And there's some subtle rule changes between them as well.
Okay.
But I do not know how many of those 1,000 still exist. I am sure it is much less than 1,000. but there is someone who owns like 18 copies of it. It's
Why?
You're asking in a group of people who collect things.
Fair.
I
fair.
think it answers itself.
Fair enough. So, obviously, the poker chips are not a part of this. There is, go ahead, grab it. Yep. There is paper money. We are not playing with the paper money. Also, because the denominations on the chips, I don't have tens of thousands quantities wise. We're cutting off 2 zeros, right? So 100 is a 1. 1,000 is a 10. So yes, it's going to cause Martin angst with mental arithmetic. But
I can do powers of 10
yeah?
reasonably okay.
Okay, all right, then we're good. All right, cool. So with that said, Joe, please
Sure.
teach it. Now, I have played Acquire. It's been a hot minute. When was the last time you played Acquire, Joe?
A week and a half ago.
Why am I not surprised? Martin, you've played Acquire.
I played it 10 years ago once, and I played it about a month ago once. So that's my 2 games.
I don't believe I had formative memories when I played it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so let's do this. This is the wooden block edition, which if you're going to get the original, there's wooden block, there's plastic block. The wooden block's the one to get.
I think it's prettier.
Yeah,
I mean,
agree.
some people do prefer the when they got to plastic, they printed letters for the company names on there. So some people do like that.
Okay, fair enough.
They couldn't do that.
And there are approximately 734 different editions of Acquire.
Yes, the most recent of which was the Renegade edition from last year for the 60th anniversary. The rarest edition, if you want to go for Acquire rarities, was the Schmidt-Spiel was looking at publishing a version where instead of just one board with 1A through 12I, was looking at publishing one with a board where you had 4 quadrants, each with 1A through 5F or something like that.
Right.
And they got as far as prototyping this, and there are something less than 5 of those prototypes in the wild. I have never actually seen one in person.
Okay.
But that is definitely the most collectible of the Acquire editions.
And there's the one from the early 2000s that with the it's super like 90s.
1999.
Yeah.
Hasbro Avalon Hill.
Yeah.
That one is very popular, though it always feels to me like the tiles are going to break. And
Okay.
so it's not a personal favorite.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Go for it.
So, welcome to the wonderful world of Acquire. So, we are going to be forming, growing, merging hotel chains by playing tiles onto the board. Each tile has a place that it goes. There are 108 tiles in this bag. So, what you do on a turn. First thing that you do is you discard any illegal tiles. What's an illegal tile? We'll get to it.
Okay.
Second thing that you do is you play a tile, as long as you have a legal tile to play. A tile is legal to play as long as it doesn't do one of 2 things. Form an 8th chain. There can never be more than 7 chains in play at a time. Or merge 2 safe chains. A chain is considered safe when it has 11 or more tiles in it. Okay, as long as it doesn't do any of those, it's fine. And getting back to the earlier thing, a tile is illegal if it would merge 2 safe chains.
Okay.
You
Fair enough.
discard it at the start of the turn. So then you play a tile. We'll come back to mergers. After you play a tile, you may buy up to 3 shares of any chains that are currently in play. Okay, you may buy fewer. One of the easiest mistakes to make at Acquire is to run out of money at a critical time. You want to be very thoughtful as to whether that's the right thing to do.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you cannot ever sell shares.
That is not quite true, but you have limited opportunities to sell shares.
Fair.
You can't just freely decide you want to sell shares.
Okay.
And then you draw a tile to get back up to 6, and you're done. Mergers. So, when you play a tile that combines 2 or more companies, so yes, exactly, if you played 8H, that would combine those 2 companies.
Yep.
We have a merger. And this is where interesting things happen. So, if there is one chain that is larger, then that will be the surviving chain. If the chains are the same size, then it is the choice of the player who played the merger tile, which one survives. This is the point at which we get more money. So whoever has the most shares in the chain that's going away receives a bonus. That bonus depends upon the size of the chain that's going away and and which company it is. Okay. Person who has the second most shares also receives a bonus. If there's a tie for first, you add first and second, divide by 2, round down, and you get that. If there's a tie for second, you divide by the second place by 2, round down, and do that. This is also the point at which you have to do something with those shares that you have. Starting with the player who caused the merger, you have to decide how you want to dispose of your shares. You have 3 choices, and you can choose multiple of these 3.
Okay.
You can trade shares of the company that's going away 2 for 1 for shares of the company that's staying.
So if you have 6 shares, you can buy 3 or get traded in for 3.
Trade it in for 3.
Okay.
That's one choice. But you don't have to do that with all of your shares. You could trade only 4 in or 2 in if you wanted.
Okay.
You can sell shares. You can sell as many shares as you wish at the current market value. Okay? This is your one time to sell shares.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. And there you go. So the per block, define block on that.
Per block.
Right there, buying and selling price per block.
Basically,
Meaning if you sell
per share.
4 shares, yeah, you're
get 4
selling it
times
for
that.
4 times that number. Okay, got it.
In our case, divide by 100, but...
Yeah, right. Knock off 2 zeros. All right, got it. Okay.
Okay. And the third thing you can do is hold on to them.
Why might you hold on to them, Joe?
Because a chain might come back.
Okay.
So, unlike Big Boss, which is Wolfgang Kramer's tribute to Acquire,
Yep.
here, when a chain disappears, it can reappear as early as the next player's turn.
Okay.
And so, the challenge is if you hold on to a share and the chain never comes back.
Won't.
Yeah, exactly. There are not many ways to lose money in Acquire, but that's the one. Okay. The game continues until one of 2 things happen. Either all of the chains on the board are safe, which is to say all of them are
11 or
size
more.
11 or higher,
Okay.
or one chain reaches the size of 41.
Okay.
Either one of these causes... So, we are going to play the way that, from Sid's notes, I believe is intended, and also the more common way, which is the game ends at the end of that turn. That player completes their turn, and then the game is over.
Okay.
People have interpreted the rules to say that you have the option of ending the game at the end of your turn if you notice this. I think it's a silly argument, but if you really want to play that way, then so be it.
Okay. You also could play with hidden money and hidden shares, but we're not going to do that.
I was just about to say.
Sorry, didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No.
Apologies.
All good. So there are many debates about open versus closed holdings with trackable hidden information. Acquire is at the center of many of these debates. We are going to play open, but it really is
Up to you and your group, right?
Yeah. What you want to do. So the other thing that we are going to do to make it easier to and not take up a ridiculous amount of space is whenever you end up with 5 shares of a company. So the first 4 shares, but then
Sure.
5 shares turn sideways like that.
Got it. And then if you have 9, you'll fan out 4 more
4
down
more.
below that.
And then you have 10. You'll
right,
have
yeah.
2 blocks.
There you go.
Okay.
Cool. That works.
And that just keeps things neater and easier to see. Once you get above 5, the difference between 7 and 8 is a little harder to see across the table.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Okay.
So all I have not talked about is setup. The way that we're going to determine who the first player is the classic way. Now, this is actually not quite what's in the rules.
Okay. All right.
The way that they suggest is everyone draws a tile. Whoever draws the lowest number, letter closer to A if there's a tie,
all right.
is the first player, and then you take that tile into your initial hand. This was changed in the 1966 edition.
Okay.
And is to a much better answer, which is those tiles go onto the board.
Okay.
And that is the way, to the best of my knowledge, everyone plays.
Okay.
But just so that you know, that is the one thing. So I will
Okay.
pass
So we
the
draw
background.
6?
Right
Or just
now
one
you're
to
just drawing
start? Just one.
And then
All right.
whoever's going first will have draw 6
Okay. Got it.
to keep in front of them.
Got it. And also,
And you can just play it on the board.
at the end of the game, it's you cash out your holdings at current value,
that's-
right?
Yep,
And
exactly.
all right.
Pretty good so far.
Yep, that's leader in the clubhouse. So 4I. Okay. Of course. Of course. Of course. All
Well
right.
played, sir.
All right. So you're
Okay.
drawing 6,
I
right?
am drawing 6.
Okay.
And everyone's going to draw 6.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But it's easiest to start with the start player and pass around. So.
Okay.
And we've just been drawing them.
All right. Place your bets over under Glory to Rome's 3.5. Everyone starts with, by the way, it's $60 or with 2 zeros.
100.
No,
6,000.
6,000. 2 zeros. It's going to be a long night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, 4, 5, and 6. There you go, sir.
Since there's no need for me to wait, I will go ahead and
Yes.
play.
Okay.
I am not forming a chain. I do not. Oh, I did not describe forming chains. If you form a chain by playing a tile next to a tile that's already down there, that's not part of a chain already,
Yep.
you receive a share of the unformed chain of your choice, and then those shares are now available. So
So
right now-
you start a company effectively,
you start a company.
right? Okay. All right.
and then you have something you can buy.
Okay.
I have nothing I can buy, so I'm done.
Okay. Right, because nothing has started. So a chain is 2 or more
Yes.
orthogonally adjacent tiles. All right.
And in fact, if you played 3i to start, it would start at size 3. That's fine.
Right. Okay. And just to be clear, the number of hotels is the number of tiles, right?
The size of a hotel chain is the number of tiles in the chain.
So, and that is the cost to, and again, drop 2 zeros, so it's $2, $3, $4, etc.,
Correct.
based on the number of tiles. And as you can see, the way Joe has it set up around the board, Tower and Lux are on the left side, American Worldwide and Festival are at the top, Imperial and Continental are on the right, i.e. those are the expensive ones, all right? So, there we go.
According to Chad, the game is already Joe over.
Yeah, right, yeah, obviously.
It's all Joe.
There's only one real answer here, I mean...
It's all Joe
Well,
over
I
now.
have the advantage of not knowing what the hell I'm doing, so
Okay.
I'm just going to put 6A down, and
Okay.
I am going to start a chain.
And now you get a
Excellent.
free
Good choice.
share of whatever company you wish to start.
I'm going to go the expensive, because I'm
Okay.
a high-end hotel guy.
So put that onto, on top, between two, however you want to do it.
here,
Doesn't
there
matter.
you go. That's that chain.
You get a free share of Continental.
There we
Would
go.
you like to
Good.
buy more?
You can buy
Um,
up to 3, correct?
Well,
Yes.
for Continental, though.
And Continental,
cost
to be
you
$4
can
clear,
afford it. You can afford it.
it is $4 per share because
$4
it
per
is
share.
currently at 2.
So 3 would cost you 12.
I think I'm going to buy 2.
Okay.
I don't know whether that's a good number, but it's the number I'm going to go with.
All right.
Because I don't know what I'm doing.
1, 2.
It sounds like an integer, so that's
Oh,
good.
There you go. Oh, careful. There we go. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And
There we
then
go.
don't forget to draw a tile.
And draw a tile.
If I could make a suggestion, it's easier to
Yes,
add
I'm
more
I
this
was
way.
going to do
There we
it.
go.
Busy
All
drawing
right.
a tile.
All good. All good.
Too many things going on at once. My brain can't cope.
Okay. I elect to not start a chain.
Would you like to buy some shares?
I would, in fact, like to buy 3 shares of Continental.
For
so
12.
That'll be 12. So there we go.
One advantage of playing this enough is you memorize all of this chart.
Yes, that is fair. All right. And then I will draw. Greg, you may start, sir.
All right. Well, I have elected to merge, not to merge, but to
Start a company.
start a company. And like Martin, I like the rich hotels.
Sure.
Sir.
And
Okay.
but
Always
I,
popular.
I will go crazy and get
3 shares.
3 shares.
Okay, there you go. And then draw a tile when you're done past the
Especially 'cause
duchy.
it's likely to merge.
Right.
And I will buy 3 shares of Imperial.
Oh no.
And again, he added to Continental, but buying Imperial.
Yes.
Sir, no, I'm just pointing that out.
Yes.
I'm already scared.
Hmm. Well,
could
yeah.
pass the bag.
There's got to be a tactic here somewhere. That's my theory.
The tactic is, I see it. Oh, I don't want to say it out loud. 'Cause
Okay, fair enough.
it's rude.
No, that's fine.
It's another person's plan.
I'm not super thrilled with my draw here. Okay.
I'm going to expand a bit further, and I'm also going to go with 3 of Imperial. What the hell?
For 12.
Everybody's doing it. Why not me?
Okay.
There is an answer to that question. But
This isn't a philosophy class, so.
Uh,
I see that bag full of wooden chips is so satisfying. It's honestly the only reason I keep playing Scrabble.
unfortunately, the bag did not come with the game. But
I will add now. Just as an update for folks, we're now at 5 for Continental, which 5 for Continental is 7 a share.
that's correct.
Whereas Imperial is currently at 4 a share. That sounds like 12 to me. Okay, so 8 back, and that'll be 3 in Imperial.
Mm-hmm.
That's me done, sir.
I'm gonna be brave, gonna be bold.
Brave little toaster over here.
Go somewhere else.
All right.
And wait, before you draw.
Oh yes, I may buy some more. You know what? I ain't scared. The Continental is 7 a share.
That sounds like 3.
That
Yep.
sounds like 3.
Okay, done.
I got the liquidity.
Yeah, who needs liquidity? I heard, go broke.
Stay up to 8 a share.
Okay.
Wow.
And
Well,
See,
I'm glad I bought it when I did.
3 Imperial, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There you go, sir.
Yep.
Okay.
And I can demonstrate the 5 shares.
There you go. What?
Indeed, you can.
Okay.
Oh, that's making me very interested. Why is he going so heavily into Imperial? There must be a reason, I suspect, but I don't
There
know
is a
what it
reason.
I imagine it has something to do with these two. And it being cheaper.
Somewhat.
Okay.
That is not. That is
We'll,
not
we'll,
the
we'll talk.
primary.
We'll talk strategy at the end of the game. I think it'd be good during the roundtable to be able to hear that, because right now I'm not. Obviously, I don't really have a strategy formed.
I'm going to
yet.
plop over here, and I'm going to buy 3 Imperials.
Yep.
On the basis that if the person who played this game most is doing this, he can't be entirely stupid.
Oh, I can be. Trust me.
I didn't want to say it, but I did giggle.
All right. No. I suppose it theoretically you should have memorized where your tiles are on the board, but
No.
no.
No, there's no need for that.
So you know what? I am gonna go ahead. Oh boy.
Do it.
What happened? Okay, so
Yes.
let me back up before I place this tile. When a company merges,
Yes.
the bigger of the two companies
Yes.
eats the little one,
Correct.
and then all the little shares
Yes.
are either traded in 2-to-1,
Yes.
held,
Yes.
or just straight up sold.
Or straight up sold.
Sold for their value.
Whatever their current value was before the merger.
So you're either going to make it a tiny little one and then... boop.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna try this. So I am gonna start a new company there.
Which company?
And I'm just
Wait,
gonna.
don't go off.
I'm here. I'm doing like this so I don't
Okay.
forget. You know, I like yellow,
Okay.
but let's look at their overall value. Like they start at $2 a piece, and it doesn't have a ton of upward mobility.
Sure it does. They all have the same amount of upward mobility.
Yeah, exactly. also, if you have the most of it, that's not bad.
Fair. So let's go ahead and so that'll be £6 here.
So
There
you
we
want
go.
a total of 4 because you get the founder's share.
Fact.
Yep.
So there we go.
So this actually disincentivizes us from going into 4C without at least one share of tower.
So we'll see how this works out. Now I could have also bought Imperial, but I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and
Well,
load into it.
Not
And
also,
that's
but
6.
instead.
Yes.
It's all one company, right?
No,
Three.
you can buy 3 shares, one in each of 3 companies.
Okay, you can. Okay, got it.
But you could not buy more shares than you just bought.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Greg.
All right. I'd like to make everybody's Imperial just a little bit better.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? What are you purchasing?
3 Imperial.
Okay.
That would be 15.
Thank you.
There are 3 left.
Yes, there are.
And there will not be for long.
I reckon not.
Okay. How thrilled am I? Not very. 2 Imperial and a tower, please.
Where did you place? I'm sorry.
3A.
Okay, thank you.
So if I could get 2 Imperial, please.
Yes, sir.
And that will cost me 12.
Not happy to
Did
see
you
that.
draw?
Oh, I did not. And not.
And then pass.
So I'm assuming from that Joe didn't take the third one because he doesn't need to, because he's got the majority of Imperial and no
I
one
didn't.
can match it.
You do have the majority.
I do not have a forced majority. If you notice, he has 7,
Yes.
and there's 1 more available.
But you think that
I think you might buy it and get a tie for second, because
Second,
that's better
yes.
than third.
fact? Yep. Okay. That's reasonable.
Because the majority holder bonus is
Yeah.
first and second, and ties are friendly or not friendly.
Ties are split.
Split. Okay, got it.
Tie for first, you add first and second, and you divide.
And
Tie
that's
for second, you divide.
okay. Now I understand the error of my ways. Okay, so be it.
Martin would rather get 1250 than 0.
Right.
Well, 12, but
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because that's how
I'm going to
math
go here,
Okay.
and then I will indeed get that last Imperial.
Yeah.
Okay.
That will be
5.
5, and
2
I'm
other
also
shares.
going to pick up a couple of cheap towers.
All right. $2 a piece.
$4 more.
$4 more.
Okay. The yellow is really bright on the screen. I apologize, but c'est la vie. Bring
La
your
vie.
slide your continental over a hair my way. There you go. Good. Done. That was funny, by the way, guys. I appreciated that.
The timing was good, too.
Yes, it was the timing that was funny, not the...
But that is the secret of comedy.
exactly.
Also repetition.
I think
Also repetition.
I like that later. I really don't think I like that. So I don't have a really good play, I don't think.
Okay.
So there's that. And so Imperial is sold out.
Yep. We have Continental and we have Tower. That's
I think I will go let's see. I will go 2 tower and a continental.
For a total of 12.
1, 2, and a continental. You said 12. I'm just going to defer to you and assume you were right. I'm sure you are. So there is 22, and go for it. Great.
Okay. Oh no, I was just trying to find the piece that I had in mind. 10E. There we go. And I don't want to be left in the dust when tower emerges. So that's $6. That's 3 shares.
Okay.
There we go.
Festival on the board.
And I will buy 3 tower.
Okay. I'm starting to see here. Okay.
Like somebody is.
A little bit. Now, I'm not saying it's right, but this is unlikely to merge anytime soon. These could merge, so that's why Tower is going, or at least that's my thought process on why.
Tower is a baby's cough away from merging.
Yes, facts.
I'm going to go there. And
What would you
I'm
like to
gonna
found?
And I'd like to sail on to Luxor.
And what would you like to buy?
I'll buy 6, 3 of them, so that'll be 6.
That would be.
And I'll get 4.
Interesting.
See, I'm in a position where I need a merger to happen soon.
Facts, because you don't have a lot of liquidity.
You need a merger that you benefit from to happen soon.
Yes. So ideally,
And the merger happens before you buy, like as soon as the tile is played.
Right. The order is you play the tile, we execute the merger, complete that, and then the person who caused the merger gets to buy shares.
Okay.
the injection of cash would be nice.
So I think I will go. That's 4. I have 6, 7, 2. I think this is okay. I will go there, and I will buy 3 Luxor.
For 6.
Yes.
Yeah, that stops me from getting a majority in tower.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. I'm gonna draw, but you can go and play.
Yeah, I can. Kind of misplanned some things is all. 9 each is going to go down, and I will buy. So if I buy 3 Luxor, what does that do for me? Puts me
We
in
currently tie you for second.
Tied
Yes,
for
you were
second.
tied for second.
I don't know if that's worth it. Whereas 6 can buy me 2 shares of tower, which will put me also in second for tower.
Correct.
Facts.
Until you buy some, which is a problem. Or I can hold on to my money.
Yes.
It feels bad holding on to money and not spending at least one thing. But also, how many are left?
Lots.
Yeah.
4, 5,
6,
6, 7, 8,
10,
9, 10, 11.
15.
Yeah, it's not
Should be 10 left.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I double counted 1. They're a little slippery.
There are always 25 shares in each company,
Okay. All right.
which is how I calculated it.
But I'm gonna just
Draw.
draw.
Okay, Joe.
It's a better idea than you think.
I'm annoyed.
Okay. Oh, right.
No, you were fine
That
where
was
it was.
fine?
That was
Okay.
perfect. That's the extent of how far wide you can
Okay.
go.
What thing... I think I have to buy 3 Luxor.
Yeah, for the same reason that I couldn't buy 3 Luxor.
Okay.
No, I think not doing that was the right choice for you.
Right. That's what I mean.
Martin?
We both had to make that choice that we made.
He just is more liquid than you are.
Significantly, yes.
It is rare that it happens, but if a chain merges away and only one player has shares in that chain, they get both the first and second votes.
Fair point, Private Vendetta. I see you.
I'm going to go in there.
Okay. American. You can start it down below
Take an
Luxor.
American. Do I mean
There you
down
go.
there?
Yep.
But I'm going to buy 3 Luxor.
Certainly.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna need just a moment here.
Yes. Any tile that you have that would form a chain is not currently playable. You cannot discard it because it will become playable potentially in the future, but you will have to hold off on it.
Whoever shuffled these cards did a bad job.
That's not terrible for me, I think. Yeah, okay. I will play that. And $6 for Luxor.
For 3 more, yeah.
Yep, that's me done. Thank you, sir. So that is 5.
So one thing I'm thinking is, since I can't afford anymore, I might as well make the ones I have
Worth more.
Yes, there is a good logic to that.
I am, however, going to spend this 6
Yes.
on to Festival.
Sure.
Festival is currently at 2, so that's $6. Yep, checks out.
Or I could do Festival and... no, I wanted Festival. There's a reason for it.
Okay.
Yep.
And draw.
Okay. What do I think of this? I'll just play that.
Just a random. Okay.
It's not random.
No, I know it's not random. I'm being somewhat facetious, but
I'm going to buy 2 Americans.
okay.
Trying to complete the rainbow.
Yeah.
And in fact, Joe, you can bring all of your stocks about 2 inches this way towards me. Kind of. There you go. And up. And this way. You can. There you go. Just to buy yourself more room. There you go. Martin? So, as long as you're in the top 2,
Yes.
or do you want to try and fight for first for things?
If you can
You
afford...
can't fight for first in everything.
Fair.
Right.
Being second is miles better
Than being third. In fact, yeah, I can relate. I am familiar with this situation. I'm waiting for someone to play 5G. Not 5G.
4C.
Wait. No, not 5G.
Or 4H.
No, you want 5G.
Hold on. 4A? Yeah, but no, 4C. That's the one I want. 4C is the
Take
one
B
I'm looking
down.
at. Okay.
Okay.
And I am going to risk being out of capital to buy 3. Oh, no, I can't
2.
buy 3. 2.
You can buy 2.
I'll buy 2. I can't
2 is
buy 3.
sufficient.
Okay.
I would say you're risking capital, but also a merger is now more likely to happen because you did that. So I wouldn't call that a risky play.
Well, I mean, I'm not exactly knowing.
Don't forget.
Not exactly knowing what I'm doing here, so. guess
Your,
pointed that
your
out.
choice was a fine choice.
Yes.
So you're broke.
I'd feel better if it was deliberately a fine choice as opposed to blundering around a fine choice.
We're all
Okay.
there we are.
Yes,
I'm going to buy that was a deliberately a fine choice.
Okay. That's not terrible.
No, it's only bad.
Yeah.
Or worse.
I will play that. I have $6,
Yes.
which let me see how I can do this. So I'm looking. Okay, so Luxor is still at $2 a piece.
Yes.
And
Take first
then
place in Luxor.
And I am $1 short, so it's 6 for American Worldwide and Festival
Correct.
currently. Because
You
they're
could buy-
all 2.
You could buy 2 total among those 3.
Right. I'll tell you what. I will buy 1 Worldwide and 1 Luxor for a total of 5.
Yep. Excellent choice.
I think so.
Can't let me get away with being the only person with worldwides.
Yeah.
That's
You
me
really
done.
can't. That's
Right.
So this was the reason why I bought 2 festivals.
Okay, that makes sense. Sure.
okay.
I feel like the game's about to explode here soon.
In ways you don't even know.
And let's see. Sure. I'm going to buy a worldwide and an American.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I don't need any more shares. I'll just put a thing down.
No one does it this
I
way. so-
support this. Okay. So I'm in the best position I can be in, so I think we're gonna go ahead and pull the trigger.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna put that right there.
Oh, you would hole in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna have a merger.
Okay. So there's a tie for first place. So you two each get $15
For that, right?
for majority.
Okay. So take 15.
That's a relief.
You're welcome. Okay.
What would you like to do with your shares?
With my 7 shares,
Yes.
I cannot acquire Imperial.
Correct.
So my options are to hold
Yes.
or to sell.
Or some mix of the two.
And selling them at
2.
$2 a piece.
Basically what you paid for them.
Yeah, but also the 15 is what. So the reason we got 15, to be clear, is because it's 20 and 10 added up, divided by 2 because we're tied for first and second, right?
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, so looking at what I have here, does it make sense to hold on to any of these? Does it make sense to hold on to all of them? Because now that I'm so liquid, but where is it going to start is the thought process here. And I'm looking at my tiles, trying to figure out, is there a place that I could potentially start it that I think I'm going to sell 5 of them.
Okay. So you get 10.
10.
Oh, given that,
So that's 20. Okay.
you know what? I still am going to sell all 3 of mine for 6.
Okay. Sorry.
Fine.
I'm going to keep mine.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought about doing. I legitimately did, but I don't. Now that goes away. There you go. And now that is available
And now
to
you
be
purchase.
restarted. Oh, now I purchase. I forgot about that step. To be clear, not purchasable. So,
Correct.
Okay, got it. Okay. So with that said, I think. Okay. I like that. I think I'm going to go ahead and purchase. I thought I had it. Sorry. Where did it go? I had a tile. Where did it go? No. Give me a second. All right. There's that. I think that makes sense. I am not terribly far on that. That makes sense. I think I will go to festival here, which is going to be, that is at 5.
Yep.
5 is
$6
$6 a piece. And I will go 1 worldwide, which is 3. So
15.
that's 15. Thank you. Which puts me in the lead on both currently.
Tied for.
You are tied for the
Yeah,
lead
yeah,
on
fair.
worldwide, and You are tied for lead on festival.
Yes, that was my goal.
You have succeeded.
Okay, checks out. All right, and I will draw after that. Go for it.
I'm going to be quick, so I'll just draw. That way I can just draw right after.
Okay. Oh.
I already have my tile on.
Okay. Okay.
And I
Choose not to.
I choose.
Right. All right.
I need a merger to happen bad.
That's going to go there.
That's not a merger.
No, I'm aware. And I'm going to buy a worldwide and an American.
And it's time for Luxo to come back.
You're right. Hey, welcome back.
So do I get an extra one for that?
You do,
You get one.
absolutely.
Okay, nice.
And I put down 6 and get 3 more.
All right, I got you.
Oh, you're going for it. Going for it.
So that's 10.
Mm.
11.
That's 11.
That's 11.
Large values of 10.
And you draw. Okay. Okay. I mean, that I don't like.
I'm gonna go hunting for a good. I need a good tile after these.
Oh, that was it. That was my tile. I think I do that, then that. Yeah, that's the right answer. So, because of that, I have those 2 planned out. So the question is, what do I play in the meantime? Actually, I hate the idea of building that one up. So I can't play that. That seems dumb. Oh my god. Fine. No, nope. Oh wow. Okay. This has got to be it. All right. And I will purchase 3 of worldwide for 6.
For 9.
Like I said, 9. Thank you.
Alright.
Oh, that is agonizing. All right. Where did you just place?
1E.
He played
Okay,
1E,
yeah.
I played 11C.
Okay. Okay.
Not happy with this. Not happy with these draws. I have no one to blame but myself. Same.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We'll
Yeah,
do that.
makes sense.
20 for you,
I get 20.
10 for Edward. What do you wish to do with your Luxors? You have a variety of choices.
Yes, I should have thought of that. What am I going to do with my Luxus?
I-
Good
That
question.
is the tile we're playing.
I can't believe we have so close to a merger. Not a single.
Oh, hey, what's up, Raiders? We're playing OG Acquire with Joe Huber. Joe is kind of a historian, I would say, on Sid Saxon, writing a book
Checking
on
it
it, on his life as a designer,
On his games.
on his games. Fair
No,
point. Yeah.
Someone should do a biography. I know of at least a couple people who've talked about doing that. but
Okay.
that's-
I am going to sell all but 3 Luxors.
Okay, 8 at 2 is 16.
Oh, actually, no. I'm not going to do that. That
Okay.
was not my plan. That was never my plan. My
Okay.
whole plan.
Didn't hear a thing.
This is the thing, was when you carefully make a plan and then you forget it.
Yes.
Does that happen to you as well? It's happened to
Oh,
me
yeah.
all the frigging time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do a 2-for-1 festivals. That was my plan.
Okay.
So
yeah,
1,
yeah.
2, 3, 4 festivals, maybe even 5 festivals.
Sure.
4 should be enough to keep me
Afloat.
reasonably
Here are
good.
4 festivals.
4 festivals,
Edward,
and that keeps me free.
One sounds good.
Have one.
Thanks.
They're small.
Yeah, right?
All right.
And
Martin still gets to.
purchase shares.
Purchase. I am going to purchase. Let's have a look.
This is the tile I'm playing. There is no discussion. There is no thought.
I'm going to buy 3 Americans.
Okay, for 12.
For 12, yes.
Oh God.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
And you draw. I am playing that.
Yep.
And that is now a 4 size of worldwide, which is 5 apiece. There currently is nothing purchasable for $2.
That is correct.
Um,
There's also nothing purchasable for $3.
so I think it's going to be 2 worldwides, please.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Worldwide.
And I will draw. Thank you. Yeah, no one saw that.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No. Come on.
Okay,
Wow.
at 60.
I get 60. That seems like a good number.
I
Glory,
get 30.
glory to Rome.
Oh, did you? They're over here. I got y'all.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry,
all
I
good.
just got too many shares. I don't know where to put them all.
Right. Okay.
Glory to Rome.
Yeah, I got you.
All right.
It's on the board.
It's on the board. So mad at myself.
I don't know why you did that.
It was going to happen.
No, it was.
Oh, I hate this so much now.
I'm going to trade my Americans for festivals.
There's so many balloon options.
Are there 3 festivals left?
There are more than 3
Oh,
festivals.
there's way
left.
more.
Well, I'm taking 3 festivals to my
3
Americans.
festivals for you. And American comes off. And that
Hey,
goes
Edward.
Yeah,
Do you have 6C, 7C, 8C, 4C, 4A, or 4B?
maybe.
Okay.
3B, rather.
So festival is now safe.
Festival is now safe. That is correct.
Or 9B.
And I am going to buy something.
So you have 7 festival, 3, 2, 3. Okay, got it. So all of these are unplayable.
No, they're
No,
playable.
no, they're
Continental.
extraordinarily.
I apologize. You're right. You're right. My point is, green will forever remain on the board. Festival
Yes.
remains forever.
Forever Festival.
Wow. Wow. Sadness.
It's funny. I used to. We'll talk about this during the roundtable, but I used to hate Acquire because you can't sell shares. But now I see, as I've advanced in my career playing in board games, I've learned why this is so good. Stop
3
that.
towers.
I do not approve of
I
this.
didn't expect you to. I will admit, but
Oh, come on.
I have to do it.
He's not wrong. You know be nice though? If I could just get rid of some of this.
All right, Martin. Actually, this is okay. I know what I'm doing now. As long as Martin doesn't blow it up.
Or no, blow it up.
I don't think it's actually possible for him to do so.
I think it's very possible for her.
It's entirely possible.
That's interesting. That is interesting. That's not great.
No, but it is bad.
Well, I think I'll be boring with my placement.
Okay.
And buy
I'll buy 3 worldwides.
3 worldwides, 15.
15.
All right. So the size of that of festival currently is how big?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
3,
6, 7,
6,
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
16. So it is currently $8 a share.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. That works.
So,
Oh, that worked out well.
You get 50.
5-0.
Yes,
Okay.
5-0.
All right.
You and I each get 12.
I like that. I
Better
like
than
that.
0.
I like that.
What do you wish to do with your worldwides?
There are no. Oh, there are.
There are plenty of festivals.
Okay, there are.
Lots.
But the problem is, it's locked up. The money in festival will never come out until the end of the game.
Correct.
But it's looking to be pretty good.
So I have 7. So
It's prime.
That's probably going to get primer.
Sell one.
I think I will get 3 shares of festival.
Sure. What do you wish to do with your other share?
Here's a $5.
I think so, but just a moment. Yeah, no, we'll just sell it. That's fine.
For 5.
Yeah.
It's so
Yep.
over.
Okay.
I will trade 2 and sell 1.
Okay.
And I will trade 2 for 1 and sell 1.
For 5.
5. Yep. And this comes off.
Thank you.
Yep. And you get to buy.
I in fact do, and I will, to the surprise of exactly 0 people. That'll be 3 tower. 1, 2, 3.
Yep. And that is 15.
Yeah. Do here.
Whichever way you prefer.
Yep. There you go.
And draw a tile.
And I will draw. Greg, your honor, sir.
This is a punt.
Okay, Americans starting back up.
And buying 3 Americans.
Okay. Uh-oh. That makes me nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Done.
Where did you just place?
Right here and started one of those, so
Yeah.
there you go.
Interesting.
Put 6-1 down.
Oh, that's so kind of wicked. I don't know if that's the right thing to do.
What?
Only the shadow knows.
I used to love listening to that and when I was in junior high, I had an AM transistor radio and headphones. I would listen to it going to bed, the AM radio in Portland. I forget what station it was, but they played The Shadow, and that was pretty awesome. Oh, wow.
So I
Okay.
listen to baseball games.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic.
And what shall I buy?
Stocks.
Yes, I think stocks is a good answer, and I will buy 3 American, I think.
Yep. For 9.
Oh, 9, yes, 6. I did say 9, didn't I? I just put 6 down, you know, it's just... I'm a natural
You're
swindler.
hoping for 1 on credit.
Yeah.
All right. Just a moment. So that is the likely candidate. Don't care. Makes me nervous though if I did do that. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna pull the plug and welcome you back to the game.
Thank you.
A little bit. You're welcome.
How long have you had that?
Long enough.
Okay. So
Yes.
you get 50. I
Okay.
get 25.
Okay.
Because I'm second. What are you going to do with your towers?
I think, and I can trade them in for Continental specifically. So I will do. You have none. 3. I think 2 feels like the right answer. I think. So there, and that's 2 here.
What do you wish to do with the other 5?
Burn them.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do that, sell them for 5 apiece.
Right, yeah. Do I need the liquidity? Like,
The answer to that is no.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that selling them is not the right choice, but the answer to do you need the liquidity when you're sitting there on $90, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then if that's the case, I'll take 2 more Continental. I'll fix this in a minute, and then I will sell 1 for 5.
Okay. What do you wish
Yeah.
to do with yours?
I would like to sell them.
I will trade 6 for 3 Continental
Okay.
and sell 1 for 5.
So,
I'll trade 2 for a Continental.
All right.
we now
so
have
there's
quite a few illegal tiles.
Yes, we do.
and define that again
An
is
illegal tile is one that would merge 2 safe chains.
so that is okay.
5D, 6C, 7C, 8C, and 9B are all illegal.
So that, and that.
This is a healthy eagle. Sorry, it had to be.
It took me a minute, but that's great. I love that. Now I get to actually purchase, correct?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Oh boy. I feel like I should know what I'm supposed to do here, but I don't.
No, it's not obvious.
And just to be clear, if I had illegal tiles, I would turn them in at the beginning of my next turn.
Yes.
Right. Okay, got it. What am I buying? I mean, American seems tasty.
American and Luxor are cheap. Festival and Continental have their advantages. There we go.
You know what? Let's go ahead and get in on the American.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3,
9.
done. And I will draw in a moment. There are 5 festivals left, by the way, for those that care, and there are more than 5. I think 7. It looked like there.
Yep.
So there, and I will throw those out, and I will draw, and done.
Yes, there are 7 Continentals confirmed.
Okay, sir. Welcome back to the game, Greg.
A little bit in the game.
Well, at least you have a clear thing to do.
Well, I've always had a clear thing to do.
Okay, a clear thing to do that involves stock purchase.
Yes.
Yes. And that would be by Luxor, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
What's up, Rocky? I see you over on Twitch.
So I'm gonna buy. No, I know I was gonna buy Luxor. That was. Gonna
Oh, a lot of y'all over
The-
on Twitch. Hi.
The question
Thanks for watching.
I have with the things in my thing, I don't know if it's worth placing us here because it's 6 to 10 before this increases
Yeah.
in value. So, but hey,
Wait, before you draw.
You're not used to this, but this is the point at which you may purchase.
so for 6, so you're 4.
There you go. Now you can draw.
I get 30.
Sorry, I
You
thought this
guys
was
each
June
get
just placing
7.
us.
Okay, I'll take my 7. Glad I got in on that.
I'm going to sell my Americans for 12. Martin?
I think I will do. Yeah, because I can't get Imperials, so yeah, I will also do the same.
And so
Well, yours for 9.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh,
these
I got
are
4 shares.
quite right. Put the 12 back.
6, 7, 8,
You
9,
put
10.
12 back.
Yes.
so
They're 3 apiece.
Thank you.
And then that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I should have done this before my turn. I have 5D, which is dead, and I have 7C, which is dead.
Okay. Hold on. That was $3 a piece. You said.
Yep, $9.
So 10. Done.
Okay, and
Well, that's a good way of placing them.
And that goes away.
that goes away.
Okay.
And
Imperial
I
has the
want
size of
those
10.
festivals. Festival is at 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. It's exactly 21. So for 9 apiece, that's 27.
Yep.
I will buy 3
3
festivals.
festivals. That puts you at 7.
That puts me at 7. And then I will draw back up to 6, which will require more drawing this time.
Okay. And that's all your cash right there.
That's
right?
all my
Okay,
cash.
all right. I'm going to do this. That
Feel
way it's
free.
on. There you go.
I'm going to put down 12G.
Okay.
And I'm going to buy those 2 remaining festivals. How
Glory to
much were they?
Rome.
How much were they again?
9 apiece.
9 apiece. So you've 20 and take 2 there.
Now,
So we're up to 2038?
yes, there you go.
Excellent.
And also, I've got one more share I can get.
Yep.
And I think I'm going to pick up another Luxor,
Excellent choice.
which is
3.
3. Perfect.
Mutiny. Sorry,
Well.
Stan Freeberg reference. Make this less messy.
Okay, so... No, I'm wrong. Never mind. It is not dead. Sorry. So I am way ahead in Continental. But Festival is dead to me. The only one that's purchasable is Luxor in Continental currently.
Correct.
Okay. So... And okay, I'm gonna have to do some quick mathing. So
Yes.
we have 1, 4, 7.
It's 10 to 20, 11 to 20.
No, how many are there though?
Very specifically, 7,
Yes.
8, 9, 10, 11,
That's why I
12,
was
13,
counting.
14, 15, 16.
16?
Yes.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, not close. So 26 is not a big enough number. I almost messed up. Okay. So that doesn't look good to me.
It's only because it's not good.
No other reason than that.
Okay.
Do you really
Stop
need other
looking at
reasons?
that tile. That tile cannot go.
Wait, is it illegal to play?
No, no. Well, some people would frame it that way, but
It's only immoral.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's just a Geneva Convention issue.
Yeah. No, it's totally fine. I think we go there for the play.
What would you like to purchase?
Yeah. So Continental is safe.
Yes.
So these two can't lose out.
Correct. They are not disappearing in this game. They will be there at the end of the game.
Right. So I mean, Luxor seems like the thing to do.
It's a very reasonable
Yeah,
thing to do
so-
given the money situation.
Yeah. So we'll do 3.
For 9.
Okay. Done. And I will draw in a moment. Okay. Any dead tiles, sir?
Nope.
Okay.
3 for 9.
3 for 9. I don't have a choice. I mean, I have a
You
choice.
do, but not a good one.
Not a good one.
Imperial
No.
is now safe.
Why?
I want Imperial to be safe.
I know, but I don't.
There's a board for that.
Glory to Rome. Oh,
For 27, I will buy.
That was his chance of liquidity.
maybe doing something
Yes.
good. Yes.
I understand, but
No, I know you had to do what you had to do.
it's the I have.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Hold on, let me get the. How many of those for me? I want to play again right after.
So that was interesting because had it been my go,
Yes.
and you not done what you were going to do,
Yes.
I would have said, I don't know which of those 2 tiles to place.
No!
Rather making it safe or merging. And I wasn't sure which way to go. Given
Well,
the
you can now
situation.
discard 6 eyes.
I can now
Yes.
discard 6i, yes.
That goes face down.
Yeah.
There
And then you need to play a tile.
So then I need to play a tile.
And you draw back up to 6.
You always
right?
draw
Okay,
back
got
to
it.
6. That's the
Got it.
reason you discard at the start.
Got it.
And then draw back.
How long were you holding on to that one, Martin?
For a long time, because I wasn't sure whether to force the merger or not.
But I wanted to to play.
Did I ever give you the impression I was a nice guy?
Well, now that is the tile that we play.
If it makes you feel any better, I can pinpoint the exact moment that you disappeared from the game.
Oh, me too. Fifth round?
Second.
Oh,
Oh my
wow. That's much sooner than I thought.
Well, I might as well bulk up Festival a little bit, I guess.
Yes, that seems reasonable.
And then, yeah, I think it's time to get some more a bit more Luxor.
When I spent all my
So
money.
3 more Luxors would cost
Spent
me.
21 on Continentals.
Which was a mistake.
That was a mistake. That is 9. Yes, 9.
No.
When I said I'm not afraid of spending a little money, I should have been afraid of spending a little money.
Should have been
How many?
Luxor is
Okay.
8 or 9. 8 to 6 to 3.
Yep.
And now I draw up to.
All right. So 6C is dead.
Agreed.
Okay. And we'll go ahead and play that there, and I'll buy. You said these are 9.
They are 9.
Okay. There's 27.
You're going to have to break your 100.
Yep. That's fine. So that's 27. So 73 back.
Or
75 back. There we go.
There.
And yeah. Go ahead. I just have to draw a tile.
Dead.
Absolutely.
That's why I
Or
played
I have to
10A,
draw
so I can
2
kill
tiles.
Yeah.
9A eventually.
Okay.
Perfectly reasonable.
Yep. Now I have to figure out who I'm going to let win, I guess.
The answer is Edward. Always Edward.
No,
It's
you're not
never.
going to win.
I'm not.
No, it's
Yeah, I know it's between them.
Okay, so the game will be ending.
Oh.
I'm going to play this.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
Yep.
so Luxor, you have first, which gets you 30.
Okay.
You guys split second, which gets each of you 7.
That's not a big number. Okay.
Thanks, Ed.
There are no festivals
Sorry.
available, and therefore it's just time to sell. That is 24 for your
8
8
shares.
shares,
So
18 and 18.
18. Okay. I get 20. And why is that triggering the end of the game?
It's not
Because all the chains are safe. But wait, I get one last action.
Oh, he gets the buy.
For 27, I'm going to buy 3 Continentals.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, that's gross. He takes the lead on that. Okay. So that triggers the end of the game?
The game is over.
Okay.
So, usually we do this from smallest up.
Okay.
The smallest of the remaining chains is Imperial.
Yep.
Imperial gets me 90 for first place. You guys are splitting 45, so that is 22 each.
Okay.
And then shares sell for 9 apiece, so this is
27.
72.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, wait. Oh, 72. Oh,
You have 7.
Yeah.
That's 63.
63.
Sorry.
So nice having a Mentat on the board. It's like having Alyssa back.
Right.
Okay, and that's it
Okay.
for Imperial. Next is Continental. Just verifying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16, 17. Yep. So that is in the 11 to 20 range. Same thing. I have first place for 90. Edward, you have second place for 45.
I liked it a lot better when I was in the lead.
Yes, that's why
I shouldn't
did
have.
the game.
I shouldn't have bought those 3 Luxor. I should have bought Continentals. So, all right.
It was the danger that you had
Yes.
in buying Luxor. You
Yeah.
did get a shared second out of Luxor.
Yeah, but that was like $7. That was not great.
Also,
Yeah.
Okay,
shares
and these
was-
sell at 9 apiece.
Oops.
9 shares is 81.
9 times 8 is
81.
72.
72.
72, 92,
4 9s, 36.
102.
Agreed.
Pardon me. 4. That's 5. Okay.
And last but not least, Festival. I need to check this one. 4, 8,
Third.
10, 13, 18, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Did not make it to 30. Therefore, it's 9 again. You get 90 for first place.
And you get 45.
And I get 45.
And it's 9 per
And it's 9 per.
54.
I get 18.
So 63.
Oh. Make it
53,
55.
105.
And there. I think I finished a respectable third.
40, 60, 80.
Oh! On the dollar. There it is.
I got $100.
It was 9 shares, so I'll get another 90 for.
You didn't even finish cash it.
So here's 410. Give up the. There you go. There. Got it.
Okay.
All right. So Joe, terrible teacher, I think. Yes,
Yep.
terrible teacher at 455. Martin 412. Great host at 300. And Greg, thanks for filling a seat. Yeah, this was okay. Look, you and I, we didn't have a chance, but I had a great time.
I didn't have a chance for exactly the reason Joe said I didn't have a chance.
Right.
I was treating this like an 18xx game, where it's like, oh yeah,
I have
company.
cash. I should invest in. Right. Yeah.
No, I mean yes, I should, but I should invest in things that are either cheap or going to get gobbled up. And Continental immediately wasn't going to be either of those things.
Facts.
Correct.
So, you learned. That's all right.
Yeah.
For good first play. Well, thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I very much like it. I really need to play it a few times in a row, so I
Yeah.
haven't completely forgotten what I'm doing by the next time I get around to playing the game.
Yes.
That would help, I think, a great deal in my understanding of the game. But
You could
even without it,
easily
it was
have won
good.
this game.
Very probably.
So
It's pretty close still.
no, but it wasn't really. I was way behind. I was not part of the early mergers.
Right.
This is a really bad position to be in.
I screwed up by letting. If I play, in hindsight, if I don't buy the Luxors and I buy the Continentals, Martin wins. I take second. I think is how that works
No.
out. No.
So,
Because you
it's
would
a
have had 90
$45
less.
difference. I would have had second in Continental
No.
still.
Oh. Yeah,
It's a
that's right.
$45 difference.
You're right, but plus 90 to me, right? You
But
still.
Martin, I believe Martin wins, but
Yeah. I still finished third. It's closer.
Yes,
but,
it is.
All right.
But no, basically I survived long enough to get the American merged in, even though I finished second. You know, you asked about first versus second.
Right, right.
It didn't matter that I finished second. I finished second on something that made me real money,
Right.
and I was able to claw my way back in. I mean, I had no Continentals at one point when you were going around. It was 4-3-3-0.
Right.
And I finished first in Continental,
that's-
which even with the question of first, I still was going to finish second in Continental, in spite of not having had any position in it.
So was it poor play on ours or good play on yours or a mix?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's probably the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's both, right?
I think it's both. There were some shares that were bought that were not necessary. You didn't need the 10th festival. That was of very limited marginal value. If he doesn't buy that, then you get to buy and tie me for second.
And that benefits you. But again, this is stuff you
right,
learn by
Exactly.
playing. Like you couldn't have known this stuff. We couldn't have. At least I couldn't have. At my level of knowledge on the game. But yeah, I like the game holds up. It's
Oh,
60
yeah.
years old and it holds up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, chess and Go, I get that, are hundreds, if not thousands of years old. But the fact that a modern board game holds up here, and
It's
yeah,
still fun.
it's
I-
remarkable.
I'll be honest. If we had played like the Renegade versions of it, and you told me that was the game that came out in 2024,
Right,
I'd be like, yes, it is.
right, sure. But
Yeah.
no, and actually it was...
Oh, it's been out since the 60s, and
Yeah.
da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. I think with the modern components, the Renegade version probably to most modern players they wouldn't even notice it. I don't think they would.
It's a nice production of Renegade. Well,
All right.
Yes, I've played that version, and they did a nice job with it.
It's also cheap. It's $35 at like Barnes and Noble.
Yeah,
Nice.
no, it's very reasonable.
So
That's a
what
good price,
what
yeah.
else you got for us on Acquire or Sid?
What? Sorry.
Yo, what other nuggets you want to drop?
Oh,
Like
goodness.
we were so invested in the game, like the conversation about it ceased, which is a credit to the game, right?
Yeah.
Like the component quality is actually perfectly,
it's very nice.
Oh, that's
perfectly, yeah, it's serviceable, it works.
I
it's-
love the wood tiles.
Oh, no,
Yeah, I do too.
It's definitely fine. It's just also clearly from a
Long time ago.
long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't mean that in a like design standpoint either. I mean, just it's physically older.
Sure.
Yes, 60 years.
Yeah.
I do have a question on the game.
Sure.
I held that spot for a long time, thinking it was going to help you more than it would
Oops.
help me to
Yes.
merge, because I was
Correct.
joint second with Greg,
Correct.
and that was reasonable thing.
That was a very reasonable thing to do. I had tiles that would have merged Continental into Festival, and I was not going to play them if I had any other choice.
Because you weren't going to be the beneficiary of those
I want
mergers,
Continental
right?
to survive because I don't have a position in it, and I don't want you guys getting money. The most important thing in Acquire is getting money early.
Which is why I was a little frustrated when I found out you had 4B for a while and you could have merged.
Well, I wanted to make sure that I had a top 2 position before I merged them.
Right.
Right? That's
Which
the,
I think you did.
I did. I
You
I
did.
can't. I did.
Oh, but he was waiting. So I had 4B. He had 3B. I didn't play 4B until I was trying to make Continental safe, and so it was, and then I actually ended up ahead on tower at that point.
Right.
So Edward had to buy back to first place before he did.
Right.
It, which was a reasonable thing to do.
Right.
Okay,
So
yeah,
that,
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
So it becomes a. I mean, obviously, you guys didn't know I had that tile. I didn't know Joe had that tile until. And yeah, it's. I think it's an awfully clever game of brinksmanship, as well as foresight to try and anticipate what other people are doing based on maybe where they're playing or where they're not playing tiles.
And oh, go ahead.
So I will say with the tile lay, that part is not entirely tactical. There's obviously strategy to it, but it all is dependent on what you pull from the bag and what's already been played out on the board.
There's a huge amount of luck inherent in the game because drawing tiles that can cause mergers, drawing tiles that can found chains is very important,
Yes.
which was the advantage that at least you two had over me in the game is you had more of them than I did.
Right, like
But-
my issue was that a lot of what I had was literally like these 5 tiles and these 3 tiles and these 3 tiles. So I'm
Yep.
sitting there like I can't play any of those because there's no benefit for me to play them. I need to like get mergers to happen quicker. So that's why a lot of my turns were just like whatever, here we go.
Right. You're trying to cause... Right. All you can do when you end up in that situation is try and get the company that you want to get merged away.
Yep.
Right.
And then at a certain point I went, oh, I can't touch these because if I put any more tiles down,
That company is going to become safe and it can't get merged away.
and that's all my money is.
Right. Yeah.
Which is why I made it safe because
That's where all
I
the
wanted
money
to be... No, because I had enough money to get on with at that point.
That
So-
you weren't. It wasn't a question of liquidity for you
Exactly.
at that point.
Exactly.
So making the company safe benefited you more than liquidity would have.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. If Martin had merged Imperial away early, the money, that liquidity would have been really, really nice. When he didn't, I mean, the only well, okay, I had the merger tile to make Luxor go away at the end, which I did just to end the game.
Right.
But the only other merger tile I had was to make American go away, and got me enough liquidity to get on with. I still had a tile that I could found I had both 1H and 2G so that I could found a company. I didn't care what I founded. I just wanted to found something, get to 4 shares, and then merge away the next turn.
Got it. Yep.
And that was what completely solved my liquidity issues.
Clever game. So the again, just to kind of reiterate, so the original Sid Saxon design looks nothing like this.
Well, it's got the same board.
Right.
It's still a 12x9 board. It still has 7 companies. It's just they range from 20 shares to 35 shares, or 33 shares. 33 shares, in a pattern that looks essentially random. You deal out shares at the beginning of the game. You get to buy 1 share a turn.
Now, when you say you deal out shares in
You
the
shuffle
original, right?
8 or 9 shares from each company, depending.
Right.
The ones that are less common, you put 8 in the deck. The ones that are more common, you put 9. You shuffle them. You deal them out evenly to the players.
And then those are the ones the players can buy, or they own
No,
those at
they
the
own
beginning?
those shares.
Oh, okay. So it's an asymmetric start.
Yes,
Huh. Interesting. Have you ever played that version of
I
the
have.
game?
It's not good.
Okay.
So, so a lot of the interest of the game is that tension around: can you get to first place? Can you get to second place? When you're buying 1 share a turn, you're not affecting it. You know, you can't come from behind unless, I mean, every now and again you're going to have money when no one else does.
Sure.
But other than that, there's not much you can do. And even when you have money and no one else does, it tends to happen for a easily countable on one hand number of rounds. Being able to buy 3 shares each of those rounds makes a big difference. Being able to buy 1, not so much.
Okay.
So,
And what was the developer's name again?
Bill Carson, Caruson.
I'll say too, if you're only buying 1 and you've got everything dealt out randomly, and one person starts with 3,
Yeah, and that's part of why the development of this game clearly
Was critical.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, Carson did really an excellent job in the development, even if that wasn't what he would have called what he was doing. Oh goodness, sure, I have a quote. So after Sid met Bill, he said, "It was a pleasure meeting you and spending the day playing games. Paradoxically, it is unusual to find a game development executive with your willingness to play and your grasp of games." Saxon was very happy to be working with Carson. So,
it makes sense too. Harrison clearly knows how games work. If he developed it into this, I'm imagining a lot of developers in the '60s just being a name on a board, like
no, they weren't a name on a board. You've never heard of Bill Carson.
That's not what I meant. That's what I meant. A name in a ledger.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah. Right.
yes.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
It's just a job to them. It's just a thing to do. They don't understand what games are. 'Cause,
Right.
I mean, I can't imagine there's a ton of people in the '60s who were
As an adult playing board games.
right.
Yeah. No, I know. Crazy.
So you asked about other Saxon things.
Yeah.
So we'll do a couple of the fun ones. So,
Okay.
This was in the '60s. The Marlboro, the cigarette makers, were looking for a game to potentially, give away with sale of a certain number of packs of cigarettes or whatever. And they, one way or another, got in touch with Saxon, who was easily, he wrote Gamut of Games in the '60s.
What is that?
You don't know what Gamut of Games is?
No. Do
Okay.
you? Do you, Martin?
I've heard of it, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what it is off the top of the book, perhaps.
It is a book.
Okay. No. Okay. Learn us.
Gamut of Games was a book that Saxon wrote in the late '60s. It's been republished a number of times since. It's not hard to find. That includes a number of things, including basically a picture of the games that were available at the time, but also a number of original game designs, both of Sid's and of particularly a number of the folks that he played games with around New York City. So Claude Soucy so. Have you heard of Lines of Action?
No.
Okay, so Lines of Action is a famous abstract game.
Get ready for your history lesson, everybody, because I don't know this stuff. All right, go ahead.
Lines of Action is a famous abstract game, and a very good abstract game. It's worth looking up and finding it. Lines of Action was first published in Gamut of Games.
Okay.
But Saxon was friends with many people around New York City who were into games and game design, and Gamut of Games includes published game, the first published game for a number of them.
Oh, wow.
It is an excellent book. He did a second book, Card Games from Around the World, later, and actually he did other games. So in the 70s, he did a number of books of pen and pencil games, basically. Beyond Solitaire being one of the a personal favorite, I'll say. Calculate being one. Beyond Competition. You can find used copies of these books. You can find used copies of pretty much anything of Saxon's writing. But Card Games Around the World, I believe, is the one that included the rules for property, though it might be in Gamut of Games, which is just a very clever game that you can play with a deck of cards. Basically everything in... So you play Lines of Action with a checkerboard and checkers.
Okay.
And each of the games is playable with things that you would have around the house. And so Sid put this together, as I say, back in the late 60s. It is well worth tracking down a copy. And it's one of the better books on games out there.
Okay.
So
now that we understand what Gamut of Games is, what were you gonna, or was that it?
no, I'm just trying to remember where
Yeah,
I hear
sorry.
Gamut of Games is one of the reasons that Saxon was known as someone that you could talk to about games.
Okay.
So he did a bunch of reviews. He did a bunch of work with the industry. So there was an electronic game from Parker Brothers called Pegs, which you probably haven't heard of, but which Saxon designed additional games for that system that they made available after. But anyway, Marlboro got his name.
Yes.
And so Saxon designed a game themed around Marlboro cigarettes, which never got published at that point. But then back in I think it was 92, resurfaced and was published as Gold Connection. So you can actually play what was the Marlboro game if you get a copy of Gold Connection, which is one of those German games from the early 90s that never made it into an English edition. So,
do you know any clue who the publisher is on that? Schmidt. All right.
It is entirely possible to find Gold Connection. It's not a rare game or anything.
Okay.
No, Saxon was doing Saxon designed games basically continuously. So I mentioned earlier Scope, which he designed because the local Veterans Hospital was looking for something that was low complexity that they could play with the veterans who were at the hospital. And so they told him a bingo variation, and so this was bingo variation number 3. And it's not bingo-like, but it is you draw things. So what you have is you have a 6x6 grid of numbers, and then you have a deck of numbers that you draw from. When a number comes up, you find a group of numbers on your board that sum to that total. So if there's a 10, you could find a 6, 3, and 1 that touch, and circle them. The objective being to circle the most spaces on your board.
Okay.
except if you cut yourself off, you make that difficult. And it's really a very clever game. As I say, it's Eagle published it. I can't recall if it was last year or the year before.
So, and by Eagle, you mean Eagle Griffin,
Eagle
right?
Griffin,
Okay,
yes,
all
sorry.
right, got it. Yeah, yeah.
And I believe it's part of the Blue Collection. So, it's available now. You can play it, along with some other interesting games in that collection. But yeah, it was just something he came up with because someone said, "Oh, we need a game for this situation."
That's awesome.
And so he designed. But yeah, his diaries are fascinating reading, with a lot of fluff.
And you said those are available online?
They're available online.
So you also said the book that you're wanting to write is coming along slowly.
Yes.
Is that is it something that you're going to like prioritize, or is it happens if and when it ever happens?
So if I actually retire,
Yes.
then it will probably get prioritized.
Okay.
Up until that point, I doubt it's going to be prioritized at the level necessary to finish it.
Okay.
Its progress comes in spurts. The problem is that there's so much information to dig through, and ferreting out the interesting pieces is a lot of work. Plus, you have to actually. So, I mentioned Bingo Variation number 3 became Scope.
Right.
Figuring out that this game that he wrote about in 1964 is the same game that he wrote about in 1966 is this game that got published under a third title altogether.
So tracing the path of this is difficult. That makes sense.
So this is the reason that progress is slow.
Okay.
It's not a trivial thing to get together, and it's one of those that I want to get things right. I want to get them organized in a way that's at least interesting for people who are interested in game design. So,
Well, if my experience is any guide, writing books is slow.
yes.
And I will say it's because the challenging part when you're writing any kind of historical book is not only do you have to make sure you got everything right, you have all the data correctly, but you also have to find a way to weave an interesting narrative.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Which that definitely makes for a tough thing.
The last thing that I wanted to ask about, you before we started recording tonight, you briefly mentioned how Acquire and 1829 are connected.
Oh, sure.
Which is Francis Tresham's original 18XX.
So, what Acquire was the first that I know of to do. There may be others before it, but I am not familiar with them. It's a game that has stock, but is not simply a stock market randomly bouncing around trying to make money or semi-randomly or whatever. It's a game where you have stock. The value of the stock is based upon the actions of the players, just like 18XX. And so while there are things that are definitely strongly influenced by Acquire, such as Big Boss and Shark, there are also a lot of games like 18XX, which I think show some influence in terms of how do you make a game with a stock market where the stock market is not random, is not, is actually based upon things that are going on in the game, but is still interesting. Let me find there was one quote. No, I didn't write it down. So with Acquire, one of the things that Saxon tried to make very clear to 3M was that he didn't want the marketing emphasis to be on the stock, because even back in 1963, there were lots of stock market games, and they weren't anything like this. And so he wanted to make sure that the emphasis was on the action on the board and stock was kind of a secondary. This is, you're investing in order to take advantage of what's going on the board, as opposed to that being the focus. So.
I said last thing, but you touched on one other thing that I wanted to hit on, and that was the Big Boss Shark games inspired by or directly related to Acquire.
Yeah. So Big Boss explicitly stated from the beginning, Kramer stated that this was inspired by Acquire, and made that very clear up front, and does some different things with the system. I think it stands on its own, but it definitely has feels like an homage to Acquire. Shark, I think, is less explicit about it, but and the designers are not so well known as Kramer to go out and interview, but my understanding is that it definitely was acknowledged as inspired by Acquire, though again it's even further away from Acquire itself. So Big Boss feels a lot like Acquire. Shark feels inspired by Acquire. Martin was mentioning earlier, Stevenson's Rocket shows influence of Acquire. There are a lot of games.
Sure. I mean, Chartered, which kind of riffs on Big Boss, which was a direct right. So you see the lineage.
Yeah, Big Boss feels very, very similar. And
right.
I like that game as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Stevenson's Rocket just struck me as when I played it, it comes as a train game, a sort of cube rails game, but actually feels more like this kind of abstract thing in many ways, which is kind of what makes it a curious duck.
Right, you have stock effectively.
Yep.
In terms of you have real stock, and the things going on the board that affect the value and meaning of all of it.
And also I think the manipulation and the mergers, trying to think who's going to merge with whom and what is also something that
and the
struck
timing
me.
of it.
But again,
right,
this is what I've played it twice. I've played this 3 times
sure.
now. So
fair.
It's all going to be very superficial.
So I saw. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying with the way the stocks work and the interaction, every cube rail game kind of has that same push and feel to me. Like I'm not saying every cube rail game played Acquire, but
no. But it definitely was part of what got games to that point.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Somebody in chat asked if Sid ever interacted with Martin Gardner. I don't know the name. Who is Martin Gardner? Yeah, I know. Look at me like I'm an idiot. I know. I get it. But what?
Okay, so Martin Gardner is one of the more famous mathematicians of the last century.
My bad. Okay, not the world I inhabit.
Wrote many things for Scientific American, but was also into games and puzzles. So
okay,
very much into that. Yes, Saxon and Gardner knew each other, met each other. Oh goodness, Saxon writes in his diary about meeting Martin back in the 60s. Knew each other fairly well. And in fact, I believe that Gardner highlighted some of Sid's games in some of his articles, and
vice versa.
Sid did the same. No, they knew each other fairly well.
Okay.
So,
my bad. Not the world I inhabit. I'm sorry. Whereas I'm sitting across a couple of people that are obviously in that world.
So speaking of, one of the games that is on Board Game Geek that is a fairly obscure one. So Roll for the Galaxy, of course.
Yes.
And you know who designed Roll for the Galaxy.
I do. I consider him a friend of mine. Yes, Tom Lehman.
No.
Weiwa did. You're right for Roll. You're right. You're right.
So, Weiwa has another game that is on Board Game Geek called Boolean Dice.
What's it called?
Boolean Dice.
Boolean Dice. Okay. All right.
Do you know what Boolean is?
No. Let's embarrass Edward Knight here on Heavy Cardboard. Okay. All right.
So Boolean Dice was designed for a Games for Gardener event. That gardener.
Okay, fair enough. All right. By the way, the reason I know the name Wewa, by the way, is because he and Tom Lehman are like, they work hand in hand. They live near each other. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, I learned of this last week when I was sat down and interviewed Tom at the Gathering of Friends. So
you should have interviewed Wewa.
I did. My bad. I missed that. Next year. Next
Okay.
year. All
Excellent.
right? So yeah.
Excellent.
So yeah. All right, we're gonna end it there, so I cannot be. All right. No, seriously, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate the knowledge and the like the history of this hobby that we all really, really enjoy. And
Yeah.
Sid, I think, if there's a Mount Rushmore of board game designers, he's got to either be on there or at least in consideration.
He's on the short list.
Yeah, for
Sid
sure.
Saxon, Alex Randolph, and Rudy Hoffman belong up there together.
Maybe Richard Garfield just for magic.
Oh, there are more people.
Yeah, right. I mean, the Good
From that
Doctor.
era.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're right.
yeah.
Those three.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, hopefully y'all enjoyed it, and thanks again for these guys for doing this. I really appreciate
Most
y'all
welcome.
taking the time. If y'all enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Consider supporting the show, patreon.com/HCHQ. If you are a patron supporter at the $10 and up level, you get access to all those interviews that I did with various folks from the Gathering of Friends and will continue to do as I go out to conventions, so on and so forth. So check it out. Plus, you get access to a whole bunch of bonus content on YouTube and so on and so forth. So appreciate it. That's a wrap for the week. We'll be back next week with more games. I'm Edward.
I'm Greg.
I'm Joe.
I'm Martin.
All right, y'all have a good night. Thanks everybody for watching. Take care, y'all. Bye.